Alright, so you have either read the blog post and are interested in seeing the actual deployment of the service pack with the distribution package method, or have completely skipped the blog post and just came straight to the video. Either way, I'm going to walk you through the steps of the setup, the distribution, and see what it actually looks like on the endpoint. So you can see here, I have a folder where I've extracted all the ISO contents, and I have the 2 batch files in place. So this will allow me to set up the distribution packages in a way where I set up one of the batch files and I set up every other file as additional files that all get downloaded to the client, and then all the batch files and files are locally to the client so they can execute there instead of executing over the network. This allows for the copy action to only happen once, and you only take about 4 gigs of space. If I look here at the space, it's about just shy of 4 gigs. So once you have the ISO, you can mount it, extract the contents, put the batch files in there, and work off of that. So if we go into the distribution packages component in Endpoint Manager, we'll go and take a look at the first batch file properties. You can see here that I point directly to that Windows 809 folder that we were looking at earlier, and you get username batch file, which is located there. The additional files, so the get usernames batch file is the one that I deploy all the additional files with, because that'll be the first deployment package that we execute on the endpoint. So we'll stage that with all the additional files, and the easiest way to do this is just to go out to your location for the folder where all the contents exist, put that whole folder over here. It'll ask you if you want to add also files and folders. You say yes, it'll add everything in there for you. Notice down here at the bottom, it does add the, it will add the batch file. I've removed it from here for the other batch file. You can leave it in here if you want to, but either way, it should work. So there's one other thing that you have to set up here, and that's under the Accounts tab. You have to make sure this is running on the current user's account. This is important because the batch file is intended to get the current logged in user's account. So if you run this under the system account, it's going to pull system as the user, and I'll put that to a file. And then the next part will not work correctly. So if you're running this on the current user account, it'll get that current user's username, put that into a text file, and then that text file will be used in the next portion of the batch deployment. So looking at the next scheduled distribution package, you see here that it's still pointing to the same file location, the Windows 809 folder, just a different batch file, the Windows 10 upgrade batch file. The accounts for this one is going to be local system. That will just determine if it needs to create a scheduled task or not, and if there is no user currently logged in, it'll just run the system's account. It doesn't have to worry about showing anything to user. It'll just continue running its system. No additional files need to be defined because that was all defined in the other batch file. And the last part here would be to check your bundle and make sure that the bundle is set up correctly. So what we have here is the get username as the first package, then the Windows 10 1809 as the second package. The get username needs to continue on install failure because when it runs in the current user system account or the current user account, it will fail if there is no currently logged in user. But that's fine if you want to deploy it as system. So if you want the package to continue and not fail, you need this to install the package as system. And how you add this, if you're not familiar, I'll take this off. You just select the package that you want from this side, select the interactions package from this side, and just pop it in there. So that is the whole bundle. Now what you want to do is just right click that, create scheduled task. I'm not going to create one here because I already have one created. But if we jump over there, I've pre-cached this. So and for those of you that are not familiar, pre-cache just means that it downloads all the files to the client prior to execution. So you can do that in a different scheduled task, which I have done already, just to make this whole deployment a little bit easier. So this scheduled task has the whole bundle distribution package set up. I have one target in here, my one workstation, and the agent settings. Here I will do my service pack deployment. That just means that I get a notification on the end client. So if I check that, I get a notification before it installs. User cannot defer action. Although you can change this if you want to. I would recommend, if you wanted to allow them to defer, I would recommend only the user defer action, not the cancel action. The reboot settings don't really matter. The batch file won't come back with a need to reboot, so it doesn't matter if you deploy it with never reboot setting or a detective reboot. You should never deploy it with an always reboot, because the reboot will be handled by the setup.exe. So you don't have to worry about deploying specific settings to the reboot. So if you save that, keep this off, should cut things off on the client. So make sure that it actually gets off here. All right, so on the client here, you can see that I have the C directory open on the left, the SDM cache, which is where all the contents get cached on the client, and then the task schedule on the bottom here. We should see here shortly the C temp folder get created, and a username, that text file get created with the currently logged user's name in that text file. So see here that's asking, it's telling me, hey, there's going to be a package deployed. You can always change this text here if you wanted to. I just left it as default. This is definitely accurate. This will require a reboot. So you can see here the temp directory should get created, and we'll take a look at that after it does. All right, there's username that text in there. Oh, looks like it already got deleted. Refresh this. You can see there's a scheduled task in here to run under my currently logged in users account at 10:49, which will be here in a couple. Okay, so we still got about 30 seconds to go. Take a look at the scheduled task here. Run with the highest privileges under my user account, and it's going to execute this string here. So there is a variable in the batch file, the %cd%, which gets the location where the batch file is executed, which is important because the batch file is executed in the directory where setup.exe exists. You can use that variable to just get that location and launch setup.exe. So 10:49 has now occurred. So we'll see here that the prompt is coming up to install the service pack or upgrade Windows. It goes through a very short process here, and we'll then kick off the deployment. You can always modify the batch file to delete the temp directory if you don't want a remnant directory. I'm just doing it to delete the text file. So you can always modify it to do that if you wanted to. This scheduled task, when the machine reboots, that'll be deleted. So there's no need to worry about that. And you can see here that it starts the installation. So this is a very simple, easy, fast, user-friendly deployment method to deploy service pack updates or upgrade the OS of your Windows 10 operating systems. Thanks for watching.